to TDN Africa Media. I am Joy Claudia Yedutsoya, and today I am with a very important person in the political system of Sierra Leone, and that is Madam Femi Claudius-Cole. We're having a discussion, a dialogue, and I hope you learn and be inspired. Good afternoon, Madam Claudius-Cole. Welcome to TDN.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so up front, I believe this is a question you've had a number of times, but we'd love to know who is Femi Claudius-Cole.
Let's go from the beginning. Femi Claudius-Cole is a nurse. She is the matron of the Western Clinic. She is a mother. I have 2 adult children, a son and a daughter. I am the founder of the Unity Party, and I contested the 2018 presidential elections. I'm a proud loser. I am the chairperson of the consortium of progressive political parties, and I am an advocate for the people of Sierra Leone. I am passionate about my country. I want to see Sierra Leone be the paradise that it was meant to be.
Okay, so getting it from you, you've been passionate about Sierra Leone and the progress and development of Sierra Leone. Where do we say that inspiration or that drive come from?
I can tell you that the inspiration comes. There was a time where traveling was my passion, and I didn't travel as extensively as I wished, but I traveled enough that whilst living abroad, I always came to Sierra Leone. I was always in Sierra Leone. I wasn't one of those who went abroad and never came back. I was one that went abroad and came back every holiday. I would either spend, when in school, I would either spend my summer holidays in Freetown or in Nigeria. And as I grew into adulthood, and when you travel and you look at other countries, and then you come home, you come to Sierra Leone, and you ask the question, why? You have that feeling, even way back in the 70s, 80s, that when you came back to Sierra Leone, you had the feeling that you were leaving a city and coming into a village. And I always wondered, why? And then you look at what Sierra Leone is proud of in terms of its natural resources. And I'm always like, why? Why are we the poorest nation? We're the rich, one of the richest nations, but have the poorest people. So that connection, and I've always been interested in politics. I am one of these people that you find, you know, when you go to a party, now we can then a corner, they talk politics. Instead of we're dancing, within a corner they analyze politics. And in 2015, 2016, the realization began to dawn on me. I began to spend more time in Sierra Leone than in America.
Okay.
And you look, you're working in America. I can say to some extent I was valued in what I was doing. I was an intensive care nurse. But then I'm thinking, so Femi, I don't understand. You're going to work all your life in the States, at which point you have a hospital in Sierra Leone. You know, at that point, Papa done the old, father died, my mother died first. And my mama been passionate about the hospital. She was a midwife.
Can I just quickly, before we go into, okay, so before coming into the discussion proper on politics, earlier on, you corrected me when I called you Dr. Claudius-Cole.
Yes.
And you said there is one who
is
was,
the doctor.
Yes, and then you were a nurse. So I want to know the transition from childhood to how you got into the medical field, and then...
Oh, medical field was in my DNA. It was wired into my DNA. My father was a physician. We got to hospital with me, Papa and Mama, and then found them. My mother was a midwife. My mother was very dynamic in the Sierra Leone Nursing Association. She was president of the West African College of Nurses. So I foresee about meet an oath. My elder sister is a doctor. My nephews, I have 2 nephews who are twins. One's a doctor, one's a dentist. let's just say there's
It's in the
medical,
family.
it's a family thing. And it seemed as if we moved always in medical circles. So my papa and paddy, they all na be Dr. Peters, you know, Dr. Oxy Hayes. So it was wired into my DNA. And so it's natural. Even me picking self na nurse practitioner.
Wow.
So I can't get away from the medical field no matter how hard I try. But with the medical field, again, you see people and they die for silly things. And everything we do is linked to politics. Like it or not. I get a friend we can say, if you don't mix from politics, politics go mix pipe. So, that's what politics takes mix for me.
Okay. So it's both vast areas, medicine and then politics. And with you, from what I've already understood, is that medicine is part of your DNA.
Yes.
And as well as the desire to see Sierra Leone develop and change. So what makes you different from any other person who has gone into politics? Being that you're already a professional in a field that doesn't mix politics most times.
Wow. What makes me different to other people? I do not sit and compare myself to anybody.
Wow.
I know what makes me me. If I'm to answer your question, you might be able to tell after this interview what makes me different to somebody else. But I am not focused on other people. I don't know what makes them tick. I know what makes me tick.
Okay. Well, I get that now. But then again, my question sprang from the idea that people who are mostly into medicine don't really have passion or are not really driven into politics. They're always hiding away.
Mostly lawyers, right? They're usually lawyers.
Mostly lawyers, but I can tell you, doctors as well don't really focus on politics or even come to light when it comes to.
I think I've never really done that survey to see, like, in the entire West Africa, how many doctors have ever been president or how many doctors have been ministers. I've never done that survey. That's quite a great point you raised. But I didn't really, the one exposed me to the other. It exposed me, being a nurse exposed me, being a nurse and being home and running a clinic and seeing the inadequacies of the institution. I mean, I'm talking health. But my interest does not stop at health. Look, when I tell you I'm passionate about Sierra Leone, I'm really passionate. And I drive, when I travel up country, I travel, and I see deficiencies and inefficiencies in our institutions. And I just ask, why? Are you telling me that Sierra Leone or Africa, but let's focus on home, is not fixable? Is it possible, is it impossible for us to have institutions that function? Is it an impossibility? I don't think it should be. Do you know what I mean? That students in the colleges stand throughout lectures. That students in colleges have to run and almost fight each other to have a space to sit in a theater where they're going to get an education. Is this the only way? Must we always manage? I think not. And I see those areas and it fuels my passion that Sierra Leone can be different. Sierra Leone will not be different by osmosis. It will not be different by diffusion. It will be different by people taking a stand. And people standing for something, fighting for something, advocating for something, and if necessarily, dying for something. And you look back on your life, I look back on my life, and I know I've had a privileged life. I can be honest. I had hardworking parents who were never in politics, but were able to really send us to places where we were exposed, where we learned, where we mingled. What do you do with those experiences? What do you do with that privilege? It is up to you to decide. You can accumulate stuff, accumulate material things, You can. It's your decision. Some women love handbags. Some women love jewelry. Some women love homes, acquiring property. I love neither. I think being an intensive care nurse, I know the fragility of life. I know what a fine line it is between living and dying. And I see wealthy people working in the States coming sick, and we're rolling out all these privileges for them, and then they get very sick, and guess what? They die. And guess what? We put them in the same body bag that we put the poor man, that we put the homeless man, in the same body bag, and we send them all to the morgue. After those experiences and seeing it, and seeing young people die, and seeing wealthy people die, and seeing somebody who was up and walking suddenly paralyzed from the neck down, for some of us, it gives us a different perspective. Why should I do what I do? Why should I not be so focused on the acquisition? When I look to buy a phone, I look for the phone that does what I need, and I buy the cheapest phone. You know what I mean? It's like, I have a different value system. I value relationships. I value people. I value legacy. And I enjoy the gift of giving. And a lot of people don't experience it, but I love it. I get a deep sense of satisfaction when somebody comes up to me and say, Mami Cole, thank you. Thank you for where they talk for me. Or show where they owe you. But thank you where they talk for me. So I am passionate about seeing, and I am so prayerful to God that He allows me enough time for me to see a different Sierra Leone. I so wish it. I don't know if there's life after death, but I think not. And I hope that before I die, I'm 61, and I see people 30 dying, 20 dying, 10 dying, newborns dying. So I know I'm not privileged in whatever time I have, but I'm praying that I can actually see Sierra Leone become what it really should be. I'm so prayerful, I'm so hopeful that whatever happens in the next election puts the country on that trajectory, puts that on the path where we can begin to see our lives change. It may not be something magical instantaneously, but how about something small to start with? People go to court and the judge sits on the bench and he metes out justice. And you might be wealthy, but hey, guess what? You're told you're wrong, and you're wrong. The verdict says you're wrong. With all your money, all your power, you're wrong. I wish I can see that. I really wish I could see that. And those simple things, there's so many simple things.
Okay, so in 2016 was when you emerged into the political journey, and you already stated your age. And for Sierra Leone, mostly, it happens that most of the politicians come into, or they take up positions or state their aspirations, maybe within a certain age. Are you an example of those who would say they realized later on in life to be the change, or was it just circumstantial that you only stepped in your 50s and not younger?
Well, we were doing the things that most of us do. You know what I mean? And I think it's circumstantial. It wasn't by design. Look, I had no political aspirations in my younger days. I mean, I was politically inclined. I really interested in politics. But did I ever have a moment where I said, I'm going to run for president? That came later on in life. Because initially you look at what's not possible. But then as you go through life, you begin to realize that what's not possible is what you define as your possibility. And as you grow older, you acquire experience, you make mistakes, you learn from those mistakes, you see other people's mistakes, and you evolve as a person. And I can tell you, as a teen growing up, I was a horrible teenager. I can reveal that. I'm sad my parents are not here, but I'm glad they can't be here to tell you the stories of Femi as a teenager, where just a normal teenager, normal, horrible teenager. But as one goes through life and one goes through education and one goes through traveling, you begin to mold yourself into the better me. None of us began perfect, you know, and things that you used to do, I used to think maybe I was a little bit more aggressive. In school, I used to be the one fighting for my cousins, you know, opinionated. Some people might still say I am. But one's personality and one's outlook in life evolves. And watching my father die, my father literally died in my arms. My sister, who's the doctor, was actually in the car on her way someplace else, whilst I was at home in the, you know, literally in bed with my dad as my dad passed away. And the funeral home picking my dad up. My father in his day was like 6'2", very, you know, and there was this shadow of a man. And you learn lessons from those visuals, that what's it all about really? Why? And now I realize my kids are not happy sometimes because they worry about my safety. And my daughter is like, Mom, so how are we? Are we safe? What have you said now? Oh, Mom, please. You know, so you begin to evolve as a politician and as a mother and as an advocate. You begin to evolve. There are areas of your personality that soften. You begin to look things and from other people in perspective. I am a lot more amenable to criticism than I used to be in my younger days. Before, when you criticize me, I feel to say, no, attack you or attack me. But now I actually entertain and welcome criticism. And when I'm being criticized, I listen keenly. Somebody's telling me this, and there's a lesson in there for me. You're not always comfortable with how. There are times when you're like,
you have to.
But you really have to absorb it and value it. So it's an evolution, and I think we constantly evolve up until the point where we actually pass away. So it's not that it was like, me, I want to go into politics. Me, I want to be president. It was sometimes, and my family will tell you, Femi, who said this come out? Well, the Femi when me don't know all the years, I don't want to know for politics. And all of a sudden, I've embraced political life. I'm vocal, I am passionate, and I'm like, I'm going to be on this journey. Wherever this journey takes me, I am going to go. And it has taken me to CID a number of times. And it has taken me to the hot seats, you know, but we're going to go. We're in it for the long haul. I'm in it for the long haul.
Okay, so heading into the polls 2018, you were, well, there are two females who contested. But you were one, I would say, that, well, sparked a lot of controversy, being that you are like a female. Why? And we know, Sierra Leone, how we've been, the political history, it has always been men in front, women at the back, or women being shut down by circumstances and just how the system works. So I believe your inspiration has been wanting change and all of that. But as a female, now this is not as a human being, but as a female, with all this that we know about Sierra Leonean politics, what was that inspiration that got you into the polls in the first place?
One time I landed in Lunge, and you know what greets you when you come out of the airport? It's like you come out of the international airport, you just flew from Brussels, or you just flew from Lagos or Accra, and you fly to Freetown and you're like, wow. And I looked at the political scene, at that journey, in that moment, and I said, what do we bad? What's wrong with our politics in Sierra Leone? Then it suddenly occurred to me, I swear, like an epiphany. Where are the women? We need more women in politics. Women should be vocal. So as much as I was thinking, which political party should I really embrace? I'm like, no. And I go, yeah, and I go, yanda. let us see if we can start a political party. And everybody told me I was as naughty as a fruitcake for even thinking that it was possible. Salon na two party no more. Why you want to waste your energy? Why you want to waste your time? You don't want to waste money no more. People said a lot of stuff. A lot of it was negative. You know? And I suddenly realized that, no, women, we are the nurturers. We are the life, we bring forth life. Why should we constantly accept the second place, the deputy, the assistant? That's a lie. And if start that political party, if I knew what was in store for me, I may have had second thoughts. But once I begin, there was no reverse. And I realized that more women should be engaged in politics. Why? Because like now, I'll be honest with you, I see a lack of empathy in our politics. I see a lack of love in our relationships to one another on different levels. Mm-hmm. We see the police, the security sector. You go see, there's a scene, if I don't know if you remember, where the police were beating up a student in IPAM, almost dragging that young woman. You see scenes like that and you wonder, where's the compassion? That's not an administration of law and order. I beg to differ. You see sentences being meted out by magistrates and judges and you wonder, where's the empathy? There's a case just a few days ago of somebody who stole, I think, 8 cans of Guinness that was sentenced to 1.5 years. And you wonder, where's the empathy? I'm not saying criminals go scot-free, but I'm saying even they say there's mercy and justice too. And what does Sierra Leone need? It needs some people with pure, unadulterated love for country.
And you think the women have that?
And I think the women own it. My dear, we own it. How many fathers stay up all night with a crying baby? You know, it is some papa they do it, they move on out of that room. Mothers are wired, our genetic wiring, for most of us. There are a few of us who are unique, who have no love for anybody. But we are the nurturers. And in an interview, somebody asked me about, is Sierra Leone ready for a female president? Initially, I said no, because of the cultural barriers, because of the financial barriers, because of the political barriers that politics is owned by men. I said no. But when I began to reflect, I said, yeah, Sierra Leone is ready to have women in authority, women in law and order, women in justice, women in, you know what I mean? I think women, it is our time for us to showcase what having a lot of women in politics can mean. Of course, in anything, there are those who don't think the way we're hoping, but...
Yeah. So I wanted to ask, or I'm asking now anyway, with women in politics, when you aspired, can you say your majority of your support came from women? Because we know of this land, women supporting women, and you're advocating for women right now, and even during the 2018 election. So can you say the women have it in them to really trust that they can take up such positions and be ready to like lead? Do you think we're in that phase where they are ready, and have you received support from them to even boast of that? Okay,
that's a loaded question you asked. In 2018, the most of my support came from men. In 2018, I sought out candidates to run under my party. I was rejected by mostly women, and mostly men came on board. Sad, right? That's the truth. But mostly men supported me. I did get support from like some key figures in the social, layers of Sierra Leone. I got support from some of them. They did. They stood. I mean, it would be unfair for me to name names of people, but I did. But in the totality of the support came from men. And even when I would approach some women who I had heard of, say, Bo, I've listened to you. You have what it takes. Come on board. I mean, are you not interested? What can you do in your community? Do you think you can be a counselor? They turn around and present their husbands. So I couldn't, even as a female-led political party, I couldn't showcase the women as how I wanted. And then we had a lot of women who were denied symbols in their parties. And in very public forums, on social media forums, I said, you party now, I value you, come to Unity Party, I value you, I want you. They did not come. They did not come. Did they not come because I'm a woman? Did they not come because they didn't know me? Did they not come because we were a young political party? Did they not come because they don't want to take the risk? I don't know. But they didn't come. And when the elections were over and we began to have our postmortems within our party, we tried to identify those reasons. Why did they not come? Why did we lose? Why did this? Why did that? And we had several conclusions. One, were there reasons that we explored in order for us to take comfort in our defeat? Or were those the real reasons why things happened the way they happened? And some of the reasons we came up with was we were finally registered as a political party in October of 2017 for elections in March of 2018. So I take great comfort in that time was not in our favor. We only just, and people were like, we'll not sabi you. Why should we vote for you? And some people told me to my face that a wasted vote. It was a wasted vote to vote for me. I had no track record. I'm not ever inside politics. I have nothing to showcase that when I was this, I did that, or when I was this. All I have is my medical history, which people know and people were aware of, and even the stuff that we were doing. Was that the reason? Was it because I wasn't spraying people with money? But then I saw other candidates who sprayed money and lost. And I have a lot of sense. And areas where somebody would come up to me and say, me, if you allow vote for you, they buy me vote. I said, go sell them to other person. I'm not in the business of buying votes. So, were those the reasons why I lost? I don't know. But we're now facing a different election. Can people claim that I'm new? No, I'm a little bit rusty now even. So we look forward to the next election.
Oh, yes. Okay, so we're still on the women matter.
Well, you're still on the women.
Yes, so just recently we saw that the president signed the
30%?
Yes, and the Gender Equality and Women's Empowerment Bill 2022. So 2022? Yes. So a question I would ask is, with all these assumed reasons why women didn't step up during the 2018, and now we're not just talking elections, in general, just leadership as a whole coming forward, do you think this bill is timely with your party in one, and do you think it will even bring a change to how women see themselves and how Sierra Leone really view women in leadership and governance, and even within the homes? Do you feel like the bill was timely? And
I think the bill was timely. I think the bill was timely. I appreciate the women who worked hard on it. I really say kudos to them. And I am beginning to see some benefits from the bill. I tell you why. We are in the process of these lower level elections, district elections and stuff like that. And when we now go to them, before they would go and present their husband, bring their husband, wait till I give me money number, mommy me man nice be politics. Now I simply say, una nobody bill, eh? So no go fend go fend your husband decide where do. This is now about us. This is about you. This is about the women. So the bill don't give me visa. And I appreciate it. And it is beginning, it is a beginning, it is a first step. Rome was never built in a day, but I think it is a first step. And when the next government, whoever that government happens to contain, comes, let us see how they manifest it. Because a bill and a law is one thing. The implementation is another. For me, I think as a first start, I am already using it in my conversations, in my interactions with communities. Una not give me so Monday. When we go for these elections and we want representation from a particular district, from a particular community, I say, una not just go pack the Mandel and una yeri, na 30%. Una yeri body bill, and guess what? The women are coming forward.
One notable day was, I think, July 4th, July 3rd, 2022. A series of reasons, but most notable was, they say, well, it was said that incitement and all of that. So what was that experience for you like? Or what was it like for you to be found with wanting by the law? And do you feel like you were in the wrong for really, because I believe from what you've said, you're really standing up and speaking for people, the masses really, with the injustice and all of that. So was that from within, or are they right to call it incitement?
I think that the government that we have is very, very reluctant to accommodate dissent. They are always reluctant to even face the reality of the common man. And everything gets given a label of incitement. The right to protest is in the Constitution. And how can a government grow if it stifles protest? We cannot not all be cheerleaders. You have enough cheerleaders within the SLPP, excuse me, for you to be able to give voice and give ears to dissenting opinions. And if the people cry and you cannot listen, instead you label it dissent, that is for your administration. And the beauty of a democracy is we have elections. And for a government that has delivered, it is clear to see from the population that you have delivered. But if a government decides to close its ears and its eyes to the suffering of the people, then the people will and should protest. And if you then tag on a label to it of incitement, you are missing out on an opportunity to engage, you miss out on an opportunity to collaborate, you miss out on an opportunity to consult, and you miss out on an opportunity for you as a government to grow and do better. How do I feel about the whole arrest? It strengthened my resolve. It taught me that the only thing I have to fear is fear itself. In the 5 days that I spent arrested, I did not see any alligators, I did not see any lions, I did not see any tigers, there were no boa constrictors. I saw women like myself. I saw women who were being victimized and being victims of a broken judiciary. The law says 72 hours, charge or release. There were women there that had been there for 2 months, a month, and weeks. So I have a belief that God only ever has you where He wants you at any given time. And He wanted me to be there. How can I then advocate I've been there. And I see the failings. And I see where there's room for improvement. So again, I thank them. It was punishment, but it was a learning punishment for me. But at the end of the day, it was at their whim and caprices. When they felt pleased by international, local pressure and everywhere, I was released. My passport has still been withheld. After this interview, I'm going to take a stroll over to my neighbors, again, the CID, and tell them, I need my passport. My shorties need their passport. From July 3 to now, if I'm being charged with a crime, I should have been charged, found guilty or innocent. Can I please have my passport back to enable me to travel, to attend a funeral, to see my children, and probably to do a vacation someplace. Withdraw my citizenship for Sierra Leone, and unfortunately, I do not hold citizenship in any other country. I am Sierra Leonean through and through. I was eligible for American citizenship in, I think, 2002 or so. I was eligible, but I chose to stay Sierra Leonean. Call me whatever you want to call me, but I feel my Sierra Leoneanness, I cannot, in good conscience, swear an oath to any other country. So I'm not going to take American passport. That's how patriotic you are. That's how patriotic I was then, when I had no political ambition. I had no political ambition. I just said, me and I go take visa. The day when they don't give me visa, they sit on a saloon. I don't need a visa to stay home. So I never took American citizenship. I never did. And they still don't believe it. I had to sign an affidavit to say I'm not an American citizen. They didn't believe me.
Well, in that question, well, the masses have said a couple of times in the history of Sierra Leone politics is that most times when you are arrested, it's a sign that better like you might succeed. An example would have been Nelson Mandela. They used that as a
27 years in jail.
Imagine, but that's what people will tell you. They'll say
no. I think people are wrong.
Well,
the people who think that need to spend maybe just 2 days.
Well, so you would understand where Sierra Leoneans stand with that kind of mindset that maybe once they lock you up, now science say you get light, you get star,
it's like a badge of honor.
Yes. So I wanted to hear your view on that. Can you say with your experience?
Okay, let me tell you that I have few luxuries in life. I don't smoke. I don't drink. My one luxury, as expensive as Ed says, is my air conditioner. I sleep in a bedroom with a temperature that is insanely cold. Insanely cold. I sleep on my little bed that is insanely comfortable. And I sleep on a bed with about 6 pillows. It is no fun spending even the time when I was locked in a cell proper. That was in December. I didn't know my sweat can burn the way my sweat burnt my skin. It is a badge of honor that I can honorably do without. I not ever sleep in a mattress where I get changed in my entire life. Where I have to wrap my head so tight for make sure say no ear no they show, so I don't come home with change. It is a badge of honor that I can do without. I endure them bravely because I saw women who had been there longer than I am. My bathroom, where I come out cancer alone, I remodeled my bathroom. I like when I go inside for go wash, it is squeaky clean and perfect. I love my bathroom. The first day when I go for go wash, na CID. It's like na okra na in the ground where they sleep all. Another incarcerated prisoner alongside. He get for help me, hold me, for put me foot inside me because land on skates and they sleep. There was no fun in that. But there were women who were enjoying it. So I did it bravely like the girl guide I used to be. Let nobody not tell you, say for let them only keep you in a cell. It's a badge of honor. It is demoralizing. It is embarrassing. It gives your family pain, your children pain, and you never know when they are going to be released. You have no phone, you have no contact. They take your bra. Let nobody tell you it's a badge of honor. Please. There's nothing fun about it. But there was I giving strength to other women. Some person they one young titi, they cry so constantly. I had to be a mother. I had to step up. Not focus on my own issue. Because I had lawyers coming. I had women supporting me. Women then they come. Lawyers then they come for can support me. I'm talking about them. I was talking about them. So let nobody tell you it's a badge of honor. Let nobody tell you. And prison reform is necessary in Sierra Leone. Condition that prisoners have to endure is reform is necessary in Sierra Leone. How do I know? Because I know. And God, in His wisdom, wanted me to know. So it's not just about the hospitals. It's not just about the schools. It's not just about the colleges. It's not just about the villages. It's also about prison. Are there prisoners that have left jail and become presidents? You just spoke of Mandela. I can direct you to the president of, is it Tanzania? Zambia. Our prison, the holding cells at Central, the holding cells, the cells at Central, they need upgrading. The cells down in CID, the cells in other districts, being incarcerated is no fun. Especially when you are incarcerated with no knowledge of your day in court. It is no fun. But God wanted me to experience it so I can learn from it. So if I'm ever given the opportunity, I can improve on it.
I wanted to ask a follow-up question with regards to your experience. Well, you've already stated, but maybe more vocally. Do you feel like this whole experience has really put you in a more knowledgeable place to really advocate for democracy, to really hold high your values, and to see change happen in Sierra Leone? Do you feel like, you've already said it's needful, but to what extent can you say this has broadened that which was innate in you to see change in all these systems and all of that?
It makes it urgent. I now see it as an urgency. Okay,
so Madam Claudius-Cole, with your experience already with the law and how battered you've already stated the system is, how has that really impacted your view on how development should be? Because from what you stated, I believe that some of these experiences, you didn't have them before going into the post. So now I want to believe you now have a certain experience that wasn't there. So does it affect you in a negative or positive way heading towards this next election?
And as I introduced myself earlier, I told you I was the chairperson for COPP. It means that I am more committed to us having a change in government. No. I want to see a government of inclusion. And that's where my involvement in COPP comes in. We really want a different something this time. So how has that changed me politically? It means not to paupa if be Femi. Not to paupa. We almost put heads together and think, who's the best? Would I be prepared to subdue my ambitions? What I'm trying to say is, my ambitions, it's not all about me anymore. We have to look at how can we come together and deliver Sierra Leone to the people. Determination to promote one's career must be submerged, and we must be open to a governance of inclusion, of sharing ideas, of coming together, of even if you have a different government, who will pick out the best in the SLPP, pick out the best in the NGC, pick out the best in other political parties who may or may not even be a part of the consortium. Ideas of coming together, of even if you have a different government, who will pick out the best in the SLPP, pick out the best in the NGC, pick out the best in other political parties who may or may not even be a part of the consortium. I do not feel that. I feel that, and look, I am very spiritual. I believe that God has you where He wants you. And sometimes it's hard to accept. But once you're able to accept that if I'm here in this space, be all, but I believe in being where God wants you to be. So if it is in the presidency, hey, I'm ready. I am so ready. If it is in the support of the presidency, again I am ready. If it is purely an advisory role, again I am ready. Am I hungry for being minister? No. No. I have a voice where I can speak for those who you do not seek out for an interview, for those who have no microphone, for those who do not even have a sub phone, who are relying on you, on me, on even a cameraman to take the message to the people. It doesn't matter. Do I want Sierra Leone to stop? Oh, Femi, don't die. No. I want to have made some kind of an inroad. And for young women like you to say, Usaida Mami stop now, they will begin. Because now I call myself an ambassador of the women. What I do matters. What I say matters. How I carry myself matters. What opinions I put out matters. It's just setting, and we too, we are following other women who, we have women who started 50-50. Women who blazed the trail. There are women who've been in politics before me, who've been presidential candidates before me. So we just carry on the trajectory of showcasing women. I mean, I want to see it to the end, where we are not going any country begging. People are coming to us and we are helping them. That's the Sierra Leone I want to see. And a student, you stay home and apply for college and you get accepted. You don't have to go and buy scratch card, pay application fee. You know what I mean? We want to see that Sierra Leone and the possibilities. Where you don't drive in the middle of town and you see people playing table tennis 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Or stoned on push. That is not the way forward. Those are the detractors on the path to a successful Sierra Leone. I'm praying hard for me to see it. And I hope that the people I work with, the people I intermingle with, the people I do politics with. So
the Consortium of Progress Collective will to defend and safeguard democracy,
yes,
accountability, human rights, and the rule of law. Now for the Sierra Leonean landscape, we've seen the quote-unquote the Alaji and Alassane. And now the COPP is there to merge all political ideologies, all political...
I can say that it's a work in progress. It isn't easy. Even within individual political parties, it's a sell. It's a convince. And when you look at the bigger political parties, like the APC, it's a hard sell. Because you hear the rhetoric. It's APC back to power. You understand? You hear all this rhetoric. Party, being a part of COPP, going to share. How is the APC going to convince its party members that this is the time for us to share? Shared governance, shared campaign, shared ruling, shared choosing. Because remember, we are not sure exactly the actual details of either success or failure of COPP. What I do not want to see is 16 16 presidential candidates. I don't want to see it. In fragmenting the vote, we lower the probability of winning. And I want to see the probability increase, not decrease. And we also see the political dynamic beginning to change with the NGC. And I'm having conversations now with the NGC, where in the whole dynamics of COPP is the NGC. Because in COPP, our battle line is clearly defined with a government with empathy. And that is not something that I have been able to identify in the SLPP. So again, there are so many moving parts in COPP. Am I going to say, if the NGC decides that they're no longer members of COPP, what our possibilities are? But as chairperson of COPP, I will assure you that the COPP I lead is here to stay. If the members reduce to 2, to 3, to 4, we will still form a coalition of some sort. I pray that all political parties are able to begin to think about how we can work together for the goal of a Sierra Leone that we can be proud of. So I am committed to COPP. And I'm already in conversations with the NGC. But the NGC are now in a transition period. And I have decided that I've spoken to them privately, and I want to get a conversation with them. It hasn't happened yet. This that COPP is doing is going to be a marriage. Not to tap to me. Not to kitchenakam. Na married. And we have to, if we are worried about the people of Sierra Leone. If we're worried about our individual careers, that's a different ballgame. Then we do not need a body like COPP. There's been turmoil in the APC. There's been turmoil in other political parties. COPP's role is to pour water upon the fire, not for sprinkle petrol. So as the chairperson of COPP, my role is to ensure there's peace within the C4C. I'm talking to both sides.
NGC came into the conversation a while ago. Now, for many Sierra Leoneans, we're a media institution, so we've had talks with the masses, not necessarily political people. But however, a whole lot of people have already said, well, they've already explained, and NGC is the talk of the town. His recent shake have on progress really in the Sierra Leonean politics. That's one. You want to go into that?
No, if you're done questioning, then I can answer.
Okay, so the negative impact, that's one. And can you say there's still hope with politics? Feel like the two stands because they've stayed longer. So.
I believe along the line, up until this point, I've partially answered most of your questions. In that I've said what the consortium means, I've said what the consortium stands for, and I've said that I haven't engaged NGC yet. So what are going to be the effects? We're yet to see. But this is a democracy. If persons say, I haven't heard, and as chairperson, as role as a leader, you must, before you talk, before you pick a position, you must engage. You must dialogue. And that has yet to happen. So, they are going through what they're going through, and as the leader, figure their intra-party issues, and then we dialogue. It is not for me, as I said, if Ostebon, you never in Ostebon, do you fembook it for Epsom water, or do you go and buy a bottle of kerosene petrol for let you see how you can douse? No. So as I have to be a leader, I have to do what I would want them to do for me to be able to figure out within my party, where am I going? And political parties are entities on their own. They are not single individuals. They're single individuals who might be the face and the voice. of a political party. But there's a whole machinery. I get accused of being a one-man show. I am not. True. So in that regard, as the Bible says, do unto others as you would have them do to you, I have to allow NGC to figure their intra-party issues out. I have worked closely with Dr. Dennis Bright. I have nothing but admiration, respect, and regard for him, as well as for the other members who have resigned. And if they resign, they have good reason. And that's why I have been reluctant to just publicly give an opinion when I haven't gathered all the facts. And it's very important I gather all the facts. And I have a roadmap of the way forward. If I'm going to announce that NGC is staying in COPP, I will do so. If I have to announce that NGC has left COPP, I will also do so. I have not seen a weak line. For you to have a fracture, normally there's a hairline fracture and then it breaks open. I thank God that Unity Party is growing at its own pace. People are coming on board. A line in Unity Party. And Unity Party, as I have already told you, is committed to the consortium. We have found the members of the consortium. And I do believe, as I've said to you, that a coalition government of everybody is the answer. I said COPP is the answer, COPP is the only answer. And Unity Party is a part of COPP.
You're going to continue to
You're going to see a very, no, let me answer your question. This is not clear they go now this trip. You're going to see a very aggressively campaigning Femi Claudius-Cole. The length and breadth of Sierra Leone for the change we want to see. I will not wax and I will not wane. I'm going to be a vocal, I'm going to be an advocate for other women to see say it is possible. Intimidation, it will work for some, but it not go work for all. Scared and afraid, it will work for some, but it not go work for all. And I have no intention of backing down. I have every intention of negotiating for a coalition that will come and change Sierra Leone. If that doesn't materialize, it means God doesn't mean it to happen. It won't be because I relaxed on my duty. It won't be because I was lazy. It wouldn't be because when I am dead and gone, it's already been written. A legacy is not one event. And a legacy is your life story. It's when you sit, when I'm gone, and you're talking to your kids, you're talking to your daughters about the interview you had with me. That's the legacy. Are you going to tell your kids, that woman is so opinionated? Don't be like how. That's the legacy. So we begin to write that legacy while you're alive. And it'll form a part of when you go to represent female journalists at my funeral and when you stand up in front of the crowd. Unity's flag bearer. How the consortium will come together.
It's another.
I pray. If they choose me, I am ready, willing, and able.
This is TDN Africa Media. A while ago, we just spoke with Madam Femi Claudius-Cole, and it has been an exciting and informative interview. My name is Joy Claudia Edutsoya. This is TDN Africa Media, and join us for more updates.